Okay, so it's time to cover the next pair of activations here. It's the Westerner's turn to go. They're going to go ahead and activate the Twilight Knight, who has a movement of 5 and intends to charge that Infernal Horde. So, in charges in Dorado are going to be up to twice the movement distance of the model. If you're charging over difficult terrain or severe terrain, it is going to cost you a command point. In this case, I don't have severe terrain in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and charge the Infernal Horde here. And it is going to result in -1 combat. Alright, so as you know by now that combat is simultaneous in Dorado, we're going to look at the modifiers here. So starting with the Twilight Knight. She's going to have a combat of 5, but that's going to go down to 4 because she charged. That's unusual for most games where they reward you for charging. However, in Dorado, they want you to be able to cover twice the distance, which is a bigger bonus than you see in most games. However, you might be so winded after that giant run across the field, you might be down by 1 combat. So she's down to combat 4. Her defense is 4. However, she has this rule here called combat sense, meaning when she's the attacker, her defense is going to go up by 1, so her defense is going to be 5. So that's what she's looking at. She's also immune to terror, and she has ManatArms 2, which will probably come into play when we compare to the Infernal Horde, who has a combat of 4, a defense of 3. Also causes terror, but unfortunately the Twilight Knight is immune to terror. So all of that combined means basically this: 4 dice for the Infernal Horde player, and 4 dice for the Twilight Knight. In addition, I'm going to have the Twilight Knight perform one of her commands, and she's going to do this command called Purification. So during the next combat sequence, if the enemy isn't human and takes damage from the Twilight Knight inflicts X additional damage where X is the current faith of the enemy unit. The Twilight Knight cannot benefit from this order more than once for each close combat sequence. So we're going to spend 1 on that. And we're also going to spend 1 on the Infernal Horde on a Victus order. Alright, so the Infernal Horde is going to be up by 1 die here. Okay, so to show you what ManatArms 2 does, I'm going to go ahead and roll the Infernal Horde dice first. So, unfortunately the Infernal Horde missed on all 5 times, because it needed 5s, and I rolled like garbage. However, what ManatArms 2 would have done, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the Infernal Horde here scored 2 hits. ManatArms 2 means that he could force the Infernal Horde to re-roll 2 of those dice. In this case, it would have resulted in 1 hit. However, we're going to stay with the original result, which is 0 hits. So kind of a bad day for the Infernal Horde. Meanwhile, the Twilight Knight's going to try to swing and hit on 3. So scores 2 hits. So I'm rolling bad on both dice, but at least the Twilight Knight hit a couple of times. And we're going to consult the chart here. We're going to consult the power chart for the Twilight Knight. So 2 hits corresponds to 3 damage. So not a whole lot going on. It's going to be 3 damage to the Infernal Horde, who has protection 1. So it's going to take only 2 damage. Alright. So now that charge is over, let's do a different charge. It is now the Demon's turn to go. They're going to go with the Damned One of Wrath here, who is going to perform a charge against Aiden St. James. So, performing a charge against Aiden St. James. And so what Aiden St. James has is defensive shot. So Aiden St. James is going to perform their defensive shot right as the Damned One of Horde is coming into combat. We would do this just like a regular shooting sequence. So it's going to be a range difficulty of 3 in this case. However, Damned One of Wrath has a defense of 4. Aiden St. James has a shooting of 2. And I am going to spend a point on Victus here to give myself 3 dice. I need 4s to hit. So I score 2 hits. that's going to correspond to 4 damage. So here we go. So mark that off. 4 damage, and now we can continue with the charge. The Damned One of Wrath has a charge of 10, and can, in fact, go around that little lava pool. And here we go. Now we're into combat. So, the Damned One of Wrath normally would suffer a -1 from that charge. However, the Damned One of Wrath has the Fury ability, meaning he can ignore the penalty for charging. It has a combat of 4, so I'm going to put 4 dice in a tray here for the Damned One of Wrath. If I don't drop everything. 4 there. You know what? Let's buy an attack using Vivictus. Give me 5. And then we check Aiden St. James. So Aiden St. James has a combat of 4. Just like that. And has Tenacious. Should give him another shot. And we're going to check to see if he's within 4 inches of his officer, Vargas, which looks like he is, just barely within 4. That's going to give him, now the officer Vargas has the rule Charisma, so that's going to give Aiden St. James another die, so he's going to have 5 plus a reroll. So let's go ahead and and you know what, just because, I'm going to go ahead and spend a Vivictus here to give Aiden 2 rerolls. Both models have 4 defense, so I'm going to go ahead and roll. And let's see how this brutal combat ends up here. So, alright, so it looks like the demon missed 3 times, which kind of stinks. And Aiden St. James has hit 3 times and missed twice. So I'm going to have him roll 2. And he still misses. So it's going to be 2 hits for the Damned One of Wrath, which is going to result in 4 damage. Aiden St. James has a protection of 2, so he will take 2 damage. By the way, when you are marking these off, you do start at the end because it does matter for the wounded state on most human models. Meanwhile, Aiden St. James hit 3 times, which is going to correspond to 5 damage for the Damned One of Wrath. Alright, so that's the next couple of activations, and we're going to pick it up where we left off in the next video.